The Perils of Being Summoned in the Year 2011 by Art3misiA, read by LMX Summary. Voldemort has been stuck in limbo for an unknown length of time, but finally he finds a way to escape back into the world of the living. He'll finally have his revenge. Or will he? He had no idea where or even when he was, just that he had been in the nothing for a long time. He still had his memories of before, but they were painful and bewildering. Once he had been a powerful wizard. Once he had been on the way to achieving his goal of world domination. Once he had killed the boy who lived. But something had gone wrong. Somehow Potter had come back to life, challenged him, taunted him, aggrieved him relentlessly with foul lies, and bested him. It was a most grievous insult, and he was going to make Potter and all those he loved pay dearly. Just as soon as he could figure out a way to escape this limbo state. But wait, what was that? He could hear sounds. He concentrated hard. They were voices, young high-pitched children, giggling inanely over something. If he could only focus his energy, he might be able to make out what they were saying.
Helen, this is so lame. It's a kid's game. Oh, come on, Liza. It's just a bit of fun. What else are we supposed to do on Halloween? I can answer that. Eat a bunch of candy, of course. Sarah, there's a huge ball of candy right next to you. I know, but it tastes better if it's from trick-or-treating. Don't you think we're a bit old for that? Like you were too old to be playing with a Ouija board, you mean? Guys, come on. Just put your fingers on a planchette.
Now the girls, young teenagers no doubt, and American judging by their accents, were groaning and laughing. What was that? What did they call it? Ouija board? What did it do? Now one of them was intoning.
Oh, spirits, heed our call. If you are here, speak.
He suddenly felt a strange sensation, as if he was being pulled, drawn towards the voice. He realized he could see a flat board with letters, numbers, and words on it. In the middle was a thing shaped like a triangle, with a small hole in the center. He could sense, rather than see, the fingers of the girls balanced around the edges of the triangle. Something was compelling him to direct his energy into the triangle to make it shift. Could he communicate with these girls? Focusing as much as he could, he willed himself into the triangle, thought of the message he wanted to send, and pushed.
Oh my gosh, it's moving! Helen, you're moving it! I'm not! Shush, what's it saying?
The chorus of voices started to spell out the letters of the words he was so desperate to convey.
I-A-M-L-O-R-D-V-O-L-D-E-M-O-R-T. I am Lord Voldemort. Amy, you did that. I did not. You did. You love Harry Potter.
What? These girls know Potter, and one loves him? At last, a chance to get his revenge. He concentrated again, determined to send another message.
It's moving again. R-E-L-E-A-S-E-M-E.
Peals of laughter suddenly rang out.
Release me? Oh boy, this is too good. Why do you guys have to ruin everything? Oh, Helen, come on, it's just a bit of fun. You don't really believe in this stuff, do you? Well, okay then, if you're not convinced, we'll do what the board says. We'll release the spirit, do a seance. No, are you nuts? Haven't you seen all those movies where it all goes wrong and everyone dies? They're horror movies, Amy, they aren't real. But nothing's going to happen. Let's just do it and we can watch Red Riding Hood. Fine.
He could sense something happening, some bustle of activity. Then he felt a more powerful pull. There was a ritual circle, and it was imbibing him with energy, with essence. It was pulling him forward. Yes, he surged towards the growing shapes, forcing himself into being once again. All around him, gasps of disbelief. The circle had broken, but that didn't matter. He was back. He could feel it. He had limbs again, eyes, a mouth. He focused on seeing, and shapes swam before him, solidifying into a group of awestruck girls.
Oh my God, one exclaimed. It actually looks like Lord Voldemort. I knew it was you who moved the planchet, Amy. It looks just like in the movies.
Voldemort scowled. Why were they not cowering in fear, screaming? They knew who he was. They recognized him. And what were those movies they were babbling about?
Bow before me, insignificant worms, he commanded. I am your master. Give me your wand.
But to his utter astonishment, the girls looked at each other, then started positively screaming with laughter, leaning up against each other for support, holding their stomachs. One of them sat up, hiccuping, and wiped at the streaming tears.
This is the best prank ever, she declared. How did you do it? Is it a hologram?
She compounded this bizarre question by ducking her head down to look under his robes. The insolence! He would teach her, reach out to curse her. He would do it wordlessly if he had to. But nothing happened.
What is the meaning of this?
He demanded, somewhat alarmed at how querulous his voice sounded. It just didn't make sense. He had been freed at last, but these mere children did not fear him, and to make matters worse, he couldn't feel his magic. His mind whirled as he tried to think of what to do.
What is the meaning of this?
One of the girls echoed mockingly, rasping her voice. The others exploded into fresh giggles. This was an outrage. Suddenly he seized on an idea. He would go and find one of his remaining followers. But who? He'd killed that snivelling rat Wormtail himself, and Snape besides, Bellatrix had been slain by that plot traitor Weasley woman, and Barty Crouch Jr. had been given to the Dementors. He suspected most of his other more loyal, or at least more cowed, followers had either been killed during the final battle or captured. Malfoy? If not the man, then the boy? Not his first choice, or even his 10th, but if anyone could avoid Azkaban or death, it would be the boy. Well, needs must. He focused on his destination and made himself float through the air. He realized he was in some sort of house, and although he had no idea yet how to find the Malfoy bread, he was certain he would be able to do it if he could just get outside.
Where are you going, Moldy Voldy?
One of the girls called out. Voldemort shook with indignation, well, as much as this ethereal form could shake. Without looking back, he continued forward, until he passed through a wall, another room, a second wall, and finally found himself outside. It took a moment to realize there were many people milling about, and what was worse, he was quite certain they were muggles. He thought the awful girls inside must be muggles too, given their complete ignorance of his might and power. But then again, they knew who Potter was. How? Was the statute of secrecy dissolved? Did muggles know about magic now? He shuddered with revulsion at the thought. Glancing round, he realized many of the muggles seemed to be wearing disguises of some sort. He frowned in confusion for a moment before remembering that one of the girls, before he had been called into the triangle, had mentioned Halloween, candy, and trick-or-treating. That must be the reason. They were all American after all. But still, something wasn't quite right. He focused, trying to make sense of costumes, before he realized that they were dressed like him. Black robes, a smooth hat, pale skin, slits for a nose. Were they ridiculing him? He, Voldemort, the Dark Lord, the mighty, most powerful dark wizard in the world? How dare they? He would avada them all just as soon as he found his wand and figured out how to call his magic again. But for now, he would make them take off those deeply offensive costumes. He focused as hard as he could, willing himself into a slightly more solid form, then shuffled over to a small child wearing his likeness. "Take that off, you filthy muggle! How dare you disparage me!" The child flinched back, but the adult with them stepped forward. "Hey, you pervert! Get away from my kid before I kick your ass!" He turned to glance at the other muggles wandering about and raising his voice called, "Hey everyone! This pervert tried to grab my kid!" Voldemort realized with mounting alarm that he was in a very large crowd of muggles, and they had malice in their eyes as they closed in on him. Willing himself ethereal again, he hurriedly floated through them, causing those he passed through to gasp, shudder, and shriek. Free of the mob, he continued on, looking around for anything that might give him a clue as to how to contact Malfoy, or indeed any of his followers. The crowds thinned as well, and eventually he found himself in a secluded, shadowed place that appeared to be some sort of park. He heard voices up ahead and floated cautiously towards them. Under the glow of a streetlight, he saw a flash of light blonde hair standing in a small huddle of perhaps half a dozen youth and felt triumphant. He had found the Malfoy boy. He would be made whole again, and he would get his wand, and he would return here and wreak havoc on all those who dared to offend him tonight. "Malfoy, I command you, come and kneel before me," he ordered. The youth turned around, and Voldemort was hit with a feeling of crushing disappointment. It wasn't Malfoy after all, but the sneer that appeared on the blonde's face was decidedly Malfoy-like. Perhaps a relative? "Your master has returned. Fetch me my wand," he said, trying to sound authoritative. The youth scoffed. "Look at this old fart," the blonde one said. "He's shit-faced." "Got any money, old man?" another asked, advancing on him menacingly. "What's with your ugly face?" a third added, smiling in a decidedly mean way. "Let's kick his ass," a fourth one piped up. Voldemort floated back, suddenly unsure. What was wrong with these muggles? They were utterly mad. What kind of hellish time had he landed in? And what happened to cause it? One of the boys was holding something in his hand. In fact, they all held them. He turned his wrist, and Voldemort saw it was a can. Abruptly, the youth threw it. The projectile flew harmlessly through the once feared wizard, landing with a clatter on the footpath behind him. "What the fuck?" one youth muttered. "Maybe it's some sort of fad," said another. A third threw his can, and his friends followed suit. Voldemort had had enough. Even limbo was better than this bizarre and terrifying world. He concentrated hard, thinking of the nice, safe nothing, where no one could attack or mock or laugh. The nothing started to pull him back into the void. As he once again became mist, Voldemort sighed contentedly. He was going home. He was safe. The end. Thank you for listening to The Perils of Being Summoned in the Year 2011 by Art3misiA. If you would like to stay up to date on upcoming chapters and stories, you can follow me on YouTube, Spotify, AO3, Instagram, or Tumblr. Stay tuned for more spooky content.